Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this regular Board of Selectmen meeting to order on August 7th at a little after 7:05. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now may I have a motion to go into executive session for personnel interviews and discussion of a license to use town property pursuant to CGS Section 1-206A and D. John moves, Marcy seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Okay. May I have a motion to return to open session and adjourn the special meeting? Marcy moves. John seconds. All in favor? Terrific. Okay. For Selectmen's report, the Grove Street Tilly area flood study, that the presentation that we were going to do that was scheduled for July 25th has been rescheduled. It will be on September 11th at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall Auditorium. But in the meantime, the results of that study are on the town website, so on the Public Works page of the town website. So you can take a look at that before the meeting if you can join us on September 11th. If you have not had an opportunity yet to complete the Westcog New Canaan Branch Noise Abatement Survey, you have until August 31st, which is coming up. The more feedback that's received from the public, the better the results of the survey will be. So, please take a look at that if you haven't, and that is of interest to you. The Stage 1 drought conditions announced by Aquarian Water Company remain in effect. The recent rains have improved conditions, and we don't expect to hit any additional drought triggers this year. Residents are asked to continue to adhere to the 2-day per week watering schedule. And on July 25th, it was my honor to attend the Community Fund of Darienne's annual Grants Awards ceremony at the DCA. A total of $650,000 in grant funding was distributed among 35 nonprofit organizations that serve residents in Norwalk, Stamford, and Darien. And each organization is vetted to ensure the donated funds are used effectively, so I'm really confident that this will have a positive impact on people in need. And that is my report. Kate, do you have anything?
We're still working on the website upgrade. We expect to go live with the new website in September. As part of switching to the new provider for the website, we're also going to be switching our citizen service request to a platform called C-Click-Fix. I think it'll be a lot more user-friendly, and so staff will be training on that next week. We'll get the training on the website in September, so things are really moving along with that. And I believe at the next meeting, we'll be presenting you the results of the compensation study that we had done.
Great. So that'll change the Q-alert system?
That'll change the Q-alert, yes.
Okay. Have we had a lot of complaints about that?
About Q-alert? No.
No?
But
Okay.
that goes with the QSend, who was our old website provider.
Right. Okay. Mike, do you have anything on blight?
No, the Blight Review Board has not met since our last meeting and does not meet in the month of August. So we will not have a report.
Okay. Sarah?
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
The Thriving Youth Task Force will next meet in September. And for the Henley Homes and Royal Building Committee, we will meet again on August 16th to discuss recommendations from O&G regarding next steps, possible rebidding of our trade packages in this fall. I think we're aiming for October, but the recommendations and formal actions will be taken on the August 16th meeting. And we look forward to the next meeting. We are waiting for O&G to go back to some of their bidders and see if they can get some commitments that they will be bidding if we were to rebid.
So Sarah, they're not talking about waiting until the first quarter to rebid?
Do you mean first quarter of 2024?
Yeah. No, of 20.
So we were told
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they would prefer that we go out this fall.
This fall,
There
okay.
have been some projects apparently that would be put out to the state, that the state has told us about in early next year, so we're trying to get out in between,
Got it.
which would give us some beneficial viewing by some of the companies.
Okay. All right, thank you. John?
So you'll recall that the ARPA committee reconvened and that the topic of discussion was a reallocation of monies that had been committed to flooding projects to be spent on other things. And the reason for that was not to take money away from those flooding projects, but rather to say that we needed to get the funding from other sources. And the reason for that is that there was concern that the ARPA money would not be either committed or spent within the timeframes specified by the rules. And so to give those projects more certain funding, we wanted to sort of switch things around a little bit. I can't remember where exactly, Kate, we've left off on that reallocation of those funds and sort of thinking through that. You probably have the latest information on that.
Well, we've done the first tranche really of reallocating. So we are now looking at projects that have not yet been vetted by any of the boards. So at your next meeting, I expect you'll be seeing a request to fund redoing or replacing the floor at the Public Works Garage, not the floor that we had replaced when we renovated, but a different floor and the piece that kind of goes back, maybe parallel to the swap shop.
That he talked about before, right?
He talked about it at the
Right.
department heads meeting, yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to the Board of Finance next week. So I expect it will be coming to you on the 21st. Ed had wanted it tonight, and that was my doing. And then there's some other things that we had looked at moving up that we know are coming in the capital plan in the future, and things like the New Roten Heights Fire Department retaining wall. So those kind of projects will start to come before you and the Board of Finance for your approvals to come out of the ARPA funding.
Great, okay, thank you. And we don't have a next meeting for the ARPA committee.
We have not set a next meeting, no.
We kind of need to work through some of this before we do that, so that's fine, that's it for me.
And you?
Oh, of course, I'm sorry, losing my mind. There's this commission called the Great Island Commission, oh yeah, that. Senility rears its ugly head. Now, so we had our kickoff meeting for that commission. I'd like to thank not only the board chairs of the various boards in town that are participating in that, but our 4 citizen volunteers. The entire committee is full of just amazing talent across the board, and it's going to be, I think, a great endeavor. At the initial meeting, we really described and reiterated the objectives of the Great Island Commission and gave all the members a chance to weigh in with their initial thoughts and get to know other commission members. So I think just as a kickoff, that was successful. Our next meeting is Wednesday the 23rd, if I'm remembering that right. I think that's right. Yes, Wednesday the 23rd. At that meeting, Ms. McNally, our first selectman, is going to provide a more detailed update in terms of what's being done with the island since the transaction and the progress that she and other department heads like Ed and with Public Works and others have made to get the island ready for public access, which I think is our immediate next step. But there's a lot that's been going on even since the transaction took place that you'll be able to provide perspectives on, so tune in to that meeting on the 23rd and we'll get the latest. That update, by the way, will then set the stage for the commission to pick up its work and start to weigh in a way that's additive to what you've done and what the town staff has done in that process. The last thing I'd iterate or emphasize is that there's a lot of strategic planning that we want to engage in at some point soon. But the main objective for the commission's initial work is to support the First Selectman's office as well as the other town department heads to get the island ready for access, right? And to have an answer to the question, well, we can access the island, what can we do and what can't we do while these other things are underway. And so that's what we want to be able to articulate, so when the time comes that the island can be made accessible to the public, that there's a clean, clear, crisp message about what you can do, where you can go, how you get there. All that's very clearly laid out. And we'll commit to doing that in conjunction, obviously, with your office and department heads with alacrity.
Thank you, John. And just to add to that, I know that people are really anxious to get out on the island, and I'm sure that the cameras and the no public access is not making people real psyched about it. But we are moving forward, and at this point, we are still keeping the island closed to anybody that doesn't live on the island or town personnel. Do you have any public comment?
I can update.
Oh.
That's okay. Oxbridge Building Committee did not meet in July. We will be meeting next Thursday, but I did take the liberty of going in there today to sort of check things out to make sure that things are progressing, and it looks like they've laid out the foundation for the paving, which is the final project, to make sure that we get that paved before students come back in couple of weeks, and it looks like things are all on track. So I will have a more clear update in 2 weeks at our next meeting, but from the naked eye, it looks as if things are going in the right direction. The building looks beautiful. Everything is looking lovely. The landscape is nice. They've got all the grass in the back so that kids will have playground when they return in September. So good news there. Mental Health Task Force met July 25th. The entire committee, it was very active. Lots of programs happened throughout the summer, and there's lots of planning happening in both the school systems and a lot of the support programs throughout town. I will suggest any parent who's watching tonight to really take a look at some of the new programs that are coming to the depot. They've done a great job with their new director implementing some really strong mental health programs for students throughout the town. We also are going to, continue with some of the stuff that happens in the fall. One of the big events will be the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Walk that a lot of Darianites participated in last year. It will be in October 21st at Sherwood Island. It was a huge event. A lot of the Wave Strong kids came out and supported that. I know that organization is going to try to get another good showing on that as well. And then we'll be sponsoring Survivor Day, which was wonderful. Norotan Presbyterian offered their facilities for us to host that. And we're going to do that again. We are the only town in all of Fairfield County who has provided that service to anyone in the area. So I'm excited to see that coming back. The other thing is Allie ran her mental health first aid training program last week. She said it went really well. They had a great turnout, and they are considering doing another program again in October. I highly suggest, again, that families consider taking this course. It's a way that you can teach yourself, learn how to identify when you have someone in your life who is having a mental health crisis. Great program for teachers, parents, administrators, anybody who has access to the public and would think that service could be good for them. So we'll keep an eye out. We are updating constantly any mental health providers on the website. You can jump onto our Darien.org, Darien.gov website and get any information with the pull down through Mental Health Task Force. So,
What's the first day of school?
First day of school is August 28th, I think.
All right. Kate, public comment?
No.
No public comment. Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is discuss and take action on a request to amend a revocable license agreement for the Grove Street open space. And we are going to table this until our next meeting, which is October 21st.
August 30th is the first day of school.
21st.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're going to table it to August 21st. And the first day of school is?
August 30th.
August 30th.
Wednesday.
All right, next item on the agenda is discuss proposed changes to parking regulations, including parking fees. And I want to thank Kate for all of her work on prepping us for this. And
I want to thank Ann DeSeglia, our parking administrator, for doing the survey of other towns and what their rates are. So we probably would have done this a couple of years ago were it not for COVID. The last time the rates had been changed was in 2017, so for the 2018 year. But COVID kind of stopped a lot of parking. So It's time we look back at it. We are, when it comes to the annual permits, we are the lowest. We're lower than all of our peer towns. We're lower than towns that are further out in the city than us. We are also lower than everybody on the daily parking, except for some of the Stanford lots that are up like along the New Canaan line. And I think I laid that all out for you in the memo. We need to increase the parking fees because we need to generate the revenue. We have obligations to maintain the lots, and we are anticipating that we will be partnering with the state to build a new station house at Norotan Heights in the coming years. So if you recall your 6-year capital plan that we went through in the budget season, that had about $7 million in there for the town share of that cost. So we do need to start generating additional revenue. I would assume we would bond that when the time comes, but we're going to need to be able to support that, the debt service on that. So what I am proposing is we increase the rates from $400 a year for the annual permit, including tax, to $450 plus tax. Okay, so it's a two-pronged difference there. The daily rate, going from $4 a day to $5 a day, that would still be inclusive of the sales tax. I would propose that the monthly rate, because we do allow daily parkers to pay on a monthly basis if they choose. Right now, that's $65 a month. I would propose it go to $80 a month. It still would be a savings over paying every day if you go in every day. I would also propose that we increase the merchant fee to $125 from $100. We'd still be below our neighboring towns. The cheapest right now, besides us, are some of the Greenwich lots that are not on the express, like Sound Beach, Coscob. Those are $456. So we'd still be a little bit below peer towns, but we need to start bringing it up. And I would suggest that we do look at this at least every other year, if not every year. Other changes that I am suggesting we take a look at. One has to do with the Tilly lot. If you go into the Tilly lot, there's basically 3 tiers. There's the row right behind the buildings, then there's a mid-level, and then there's the upper level that's more like behind where Lanphier is. By the regulations right now, the residential units, they get 2 permits for each apartment. They can park in the lower lot or the mid-level lot. And the problem is for the businesses, if the residents are parking in that lower lot during the day, that means their customers can't. So my suggestion is to restrict the residents to the mid-level lot during the day. And after 8 p.m. at night, allow them to park down at the lower level. The other suggestion I have is to change the starting time at which daily parkers can go into the permit lots. Right now it's 9:30. And I would suggest moving it up to 9 a.m. The last peak train leaves Norotan Heights at 8:57. So your commuters who have permits, they should have been in there by that time. One of the more frequent complaints we get from people is the fact that we restrict the daily people out of the permit lots until 9:30 when they see empty spaces in the permit lots and they want in and they get tickets for it. So I think we could make a little movement there. So those are suggestions I've made. You do have to hold a public hearing, and after the public hearing, you vote on the changes. Then they have to be published in the paper, and then they take effect. So I'm also suggesting that we look at the September 5th meeting for the public hearing, so you hold it within the Board of Selectmen meeting. That lets us stay on our normal time frame of sending out the renewal letters at the beginning of October. So there you have it.
So the public hearing, you're saying when, Kate?
September 5th, it's the first, I thought the August meeting would not be fair to people who would be away on vacations. I know it's right after Labor Day, but with school starting on August 30th, I would think most people will be back. And if we waited till the second meeting in September, that starts pushing back when we can send out the renewal letters.
So one of my first thing, I understand that we need to fund our capital projects, and I understand that bonding is, is always an option. But we need to constantly replenish that fund to be able to do
Right.
this work. So I understand that. When's the last time we raised rates?
2018?
Okay, you know how I feel about that. We shouldn't wait that long.
I don't believe we would have, but it was kind of hard to, in 2020, ask for people to. In fact, we extended the permits that expired in December of 2019. We extended them until April of 2020.
I remember.
Yeah. So, okay, and there's always supply and demand. So when you're bumping your daily up, I'm guessing we won't lose people parking here because they're going somewhere else because it's less expensive, because I'm hearing that we are actually the least expensive.
We are the least expensive. The other lots, the other communities charge between 6 and I think in Stanford it's 12. So we're still below everyone else.
And there's still a significant waiting list, so if some people dropped out or gave up their parking pass because of the higher cost, there are plenty to replace them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So there were, how do we do this, Kate? There were different things in here, like if the first infraction, you're fined $100, and then the second.
Depends on what your infraction is.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. I mean, if I have a permit and I give it to Marcy, then I'm,
So if you give your permit to Marcy and we catch you at it, you're going to get a $100 ticket the
Right.
first time.
right,
The second time you do it, you're losing your permit.
okay. But then I also then can get back on the wait list.
You can get back on the wait list, but you're going to sit on the wait list for a long time.
Right,
The wait list is still running 5-7 years.
yeah. Just not sure you should be able to get back on the wait list.
Well, I'm happy to, I think you all want to do that, that's fine.
Okay. Mike, you have any thoughts?
Well, I was thinking, do I really want to express my thoughts right now as opposed to waiting for public comment? I mean, as a general matter, I'm opposed to raising the fees, but rather than belabor the conversation now, if we're not voting, obviously there's going to be public comment. I'm happy, to, wait. I mean, I understand the need for the funds. I understand we'd still be the lowest in town, but we're always raising fees and things in this, in this town, and I understand that we haven't done it in the parking arena in a few years, but I don't really feel that I would be in favor of it. But I'm happy to wait for public comment to discuss it further.
Sarah, you have anything? Okay, Sarah, I'm going to come back to you. And you're also still frozen. John? Any thoughts?
I hear Mike's comment, but the fact is that the cost of providing government service keeps going up, and we got to raise the revenues from somewhere. And so I think rather than talking about whether a particular cost needs to go up, that sometimes it's helpful to just articulate a strategy for how we're going to address those things. And the general strategy, I think, is that as much as possible to align the costs of certain things with what the town has to expend to provide that service. So in this case, unfortunately, we've got parking lots to maintain, and we've got upcoming expense that we're going to have to share in with the state for the Road and Heights Station and the maintenance that's associated with that. And so I think, unfortunately, that means these costs are going to go up. We shouldn't be injudicious about it, but I hesitate to say, well, we want to control these particular costs because it's squeezing a balloon. If you're not going to get the revenue from that, activity which is aligned to the asset that we're trying to maintain or improve, you're just going to increase costs elsewhere. And so I think we need to kind of stick philosophically with that. And if you do, then unfortunately it does mean we have to look at the pricing of things like this.
I guess my only question would be, and I agree with John, I think that unfortunately it's just the way of the world right now in terms of inflation and the cost of providing these services. Do the majority of people who are getting the commuter permits, are they town residents? Do they live here in Darien?
So in Leroy West, they must be town residents.
Okay.
Because the town owns that lot. In Norotan Heights and on Squab Lane, they can be non-town residents because the state owns those, so we're obligated to allow non-residents. But still, it's about 80% in Norotan Heights are town residents.
How about?
We have no idea on the dailies.
Okay, that was my next question. How about daily
Yeah.
parkers?
I mean, we can get some sense from out-of-state plates, but no idea.
When does the New Canaan work finish?
It is supposed to finish in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Sarah? Do you have any thoughts? You want to share? Okay, so Kate, what's kind of, I know we're going to vote on the public hearing, but how are we, there's a lot of information here. How can we condense this a little bit?
What would you like? What I would do for the meeting when you would be voting is provide you with a formal resolution with the different pieces to it.
Could we also have a slide that says, look, these are the main changes, in sort of a from-to format that says, here's the current rule, which says 9:30 is, for example, is when you can park, we're
Yeah.
changing this to 9. so
You
that-
do have the regulations, should have been in your packet,
Yeah.
redlined. But you want to, like a
Yeah,
table.
but something that, particularly for the hearing, because I think if you had just a slide like that, or 2 or 3, however
Yeah.
long it takes, because then what we can do in the public hearing is quickly summarize. I mean, there may
Yeah.
be some tightening up that you're doing here and there that's not really discussion worthy. Not that we'd hide that, it's just that we wouldn't make that the main
Yeah,
presentation.
I can put something together that just, the first bullet point, the daily rate, the monthly rate, the
Yeah,
annual rate,
just
yeah.
big type, few things that we could cover quickly. That way we could get public reaction to the stuff that really matters to them, which is access and pricing.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, any other questions or comments on this?
Do we hire the new parking attendant?
Yes.
Okay.
Started, yes, this morning.
Perfect.
Okay, if there are no more questions, may I have a motion to approve the date of September 5th for a public hearing on parking regulation changes? I see Mike moves. John seconds. All in favor? Terrific. Unanimous. All right, next we have a transfer. Discuss and take action on a request for a transfer of $5,593 to copier leases. Kate?
Sure. Our leases for copiers include a certain number of copies, both color and black and white. And it was being done on a monthly charge. And we had some months where we ran over, causing us to end up running over the budget. And we have resolved that with our provider, where next year we will be on an annual basis, because we came within our allotted copies on an annual basis. So we have changed it, so next year we will be on, they will true it up at the end of the year, so we should not see the excess charges again next year, but.
So smooth it out.
Yep.
Any comments? Discussion?
It's okay.
No? All right. May I have a motion to approve a request for a transfer of $5,593 to copier leases? Marcy moves. John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Sarah? Thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a transfer of $159,000 to the Board of Finance Capital Reserves. And Kate, you're going to handle it?
So what we did at last meeting was we included in the new ARPA funding now 2 items that have been part of the fiscal '24 budget. So since we're funding them from ARPA, what this is closing those out and returning those funds to the Board of Finance contingency in the capital reserve.
Okay. Any discussion?
Understandable.
Sam? Okay. May I have a motion to approve a request for a transfer of $159,000 to the Board of Finance Reserve? John moves. Marcy seconds. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Sarah? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you. Next item is discuss a request for a transfer of $25,452 to the Register of Voters elections accounts.
I have to say that I'll do my best here.
I have paperwork if you want it.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. We typically do not budget for things that are unknown. And what they're saying is they had to run more elections than they had anticipated in the budget. And I think the elections have cost us more lately because of some of the extra precautions they had to take related to COVID. I'm getting my glasses. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm just not really up on this one, but these were for the primaries that they had to hold and the audit.
And there's a midterm election too, right?
Right.
Somebody who vacated a seat.
And she said that the higher cost to the, it looks like a big item was.
The balance.
Was service repair and maintenance parts for the tabulators, which are coming to their end of life.
Coming to the end of life, we're supposed to be
Right.
getting new ones.
Right. So it looks like that was a pretty big chunk of it also, so. Any further discussion?
I was just kind of wondering why some of this came up so late. These were all elections last year and they weren't cleared up in the last fiscal year. What happened?
This is the last fiscal year. I think they just waited till the end of the year to see where they had funds available in other accounts to do their best to transfer from within their own budget. And I
Okay.
think, well, all but, 25,000, all but 9,000 came from within their budget, so
Yeah.
I think that was
Okay.
pretty good.
Yep, that's good. I'm good.
Any comments, Sarah or Mike? No?
Nope.
Marcy?
Nope.
Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve a transfer of $25,452 to the Register of Voters elections accounts? Mike moves. John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. Next item is something that the board is always excited to do. We have so many terrific people in town and so many people that want to come forward and help out in a variety of ways. So tonight, we had a few interviews for beautification and for the Commission on Aging. And I am truly thankful for these people and for everybody else that steps forward and wants to help out in town, and continue to encourage people to do that. So if there's no further discussion on this, may I have a motion to appoint Melissa Kelly to the Beautification Commission for a term expiring on November 30th, 2023, and a subsequent term expiring on November 30th, 2026. Marcy moves. John seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. May I have a motion to appoint Kristen Dunlap to the Beautification Commission for a term expiring on November 30th, 2025? John moves. Mike seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. And may I have a motion to appoint Thomas Dempsey to the Commission on Aging for a term that expires on March 31st, 2025? John moves. Mike seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Next item is the minutes of the July 18th regular meeting. Any edits, additions, changes?
No changes from me.
Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Marcy moves, John seconds, unanimous. Oh, wait, sorry. Sarah?
Aye, sorry.
Unanimous, thank you. Any items, topics, thoughts board members want on future?
Yeah, sure. I recently saw that the calendar came out for holidays that Town of Darien would be having town hall closed, and I recognize that Juneteenth was not added onto our agenda for allowing town hall to be closed that day, and I'd like to have a conversation with the board on possibly discussing that at our next meeting on whether or not we could allow the town to celebrate that holiday on that day and give our employees off.
Okay. Any other thoughts for further?
No, at this time.
Okay.
Nope.
Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn? John moves, Marcy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Sarah.